Valorant's recent massive agent changes have completely altered how we play the game. The VCT Playoffs in NA are upon us, and pro teams are playing a ton of Omen, still mixing in Astra and Viper, and yes, the Stim Daddy himself, Brimstone, is finally in the competitive meta. But what does that mean for your ranked games? Let me break it down for you. Okay, so before we get into the video, I gotta tell you, there's a bit of a cult of Brimstone here at theScore Esports. Even our biggest Valorant haters, like Dimitri, can't get enough of the guy. So if you're looking for some more Brim Daddy content, make sure you're subscribed to the channel, scroll down, and like the video, so you don't miss the day that I write Brimstone fan fiction or something. So, as many of you already know, a few weeks ago, Riot Games announced one of the biggest patches in Valorant's young history, which, if you missed it, my boy over on Cracked, Niall, fully broke down for you.
There is a lot to talk about. Astra finally got nerfed, the Euro rework is here, and it seems as though Brim and Omen might be making a return to the meta. Oh, and did I mention that Icebox basically got fully reworked? Well, let's get into the patch notes.
Now, included in this announcement was sweeping changes to the game's controller agents, or smokes agents. They nerfed the shit out of Astra and Viper, while also meaningfully buffing both Brimstone and Omen. They made Brimstone's smokes fall much faster and added a very important movement speed buff to his stim beacon. And with Omen, they made everything he does faster. The smokes travel at light speed and his teleport is much quicker as well. And now, with a full weekend of Valorant Champions Tour Challenger matches under our belt, and a couple weeks of soul-sucking ranked games, I think it's safe to say that the game is much different after this patch. And I'm talking both at the pro level and when I'm just queuing after work with my coworkers here at theScore. Now, before we get into exactly how the game has changed, let's go back to before that patch, 4.04, came out. Astra was simply the most broken controller, and in my opinion, agent, in the entire game. She could stop an entire rush from across the map and was picked in almost every pro match.
They're going to try and sneak their way through, and on the other side, it's just awkward. He's blocking him on the other side, and over again. He's using these cosmic divides to ridiculous effect. Sentinels can do absolutely nothing, and it's left on to Shazam. Although he finds two, there will be no more, and I think it's fair to say Avova is the king of the cosmic divide.
Even if you were watching your favorite high-ranked streamer, you think people would sort of mix it up in ranked. But no. Almost every game had an Astra in it. She was just that good. I mean, seriously, we made a video about it literally yesterday. And let's just say, people weren't happy about it.
God, I hate Astra. The world would be in peace if they just removed Astra from the video game. You can just have global presence, or you can like solo hold. Imagine using 4 abilities all at the same time.
45 seconds. Wait out, util. Can't rush A anymore. Can't do a fast mid take. Astra orb here, suck. Delayed. Can't do shit. Astra can be anywhere on the map and stop a rush. Stop anything fast. It's all default bait out util. It's not fun for the viewer.
Additionally, with the exception of Viper on maps like Icebox and Fracture, the rest of the smokes agents left a little to be desired. Omen in particular was becoming somewhat of a meme at the game's highest level. But now, everything has changed. Last weekend, we saw this patch played for the first time in pro play. And while the results were pretty staggering, in all 6 of the North American matches played last weekend, either Brimstone or Omen was selected. Xset was actually the only team that didn't play either one. And what's more is that Omen and Brimstone were actually the 2 most popular smokers overall, besting both Viper and Astra.
So they've shut down the KO on their side, allows them to get the paranoia off.
Dude, the time's running out, right? Sentinels, they've got to try and come up with something big right now. They're trying to hold it down, Santa! What is that?
So yeah, I guess you could say that Riot's latest patch has done its job. All 4 of these controller agents were selected. They all had their big moments. And to be honest, from a viewer's perspective, I think the diversity made the games better. V1 Xander, who popped off on Omen on Haven and then switched back to his bread and butter Astra on Ascent, spoke to a little bit of that diversity in his post-match interview after they took down Sentinels.
Because a lot of the conversation coming into this match was, hey, this patch kind of affects Astra negatively, and you have traditionally just been an Astra player. Like, that has been your bread and butter. And in this game, we were wondering whether or not you were going to switch over to the Omen or if you were going to stick to your guns in the Astra. And even though you did play Omen in Haven, you did stick with the Astra on Ascent. Was that more of like, I don't want to show anything off before we go into playoffs, or is this just what we should be expecting from V1 in the future?
I mean, our Ascent is strong right now, especially with Astra. I think Astra brings a lot on this map, and I don't think there was need to change it, really. Like, we were like really strong on this map. But no, we're like open to like playing Brim and Omen on this map as well, so who knows, we might switch in the future.
We at theScore even spoke to NA's latest golden boy, Trent of the Guard, and he told us exactly how he thinks this latest meta is going to break down with Astra, Omen, and Brimstone.
I think she'll still be played on some maps. I think there's like 2 or 3 maps that she's still viable on, but then like the other maps, Omen or Brim, is just more viable. I think she's viable on like Ascent, maybe Split, Breeze. I think she's pretty still good on, like for those teams that run the Breeze Chamber comps. And then I think that's about it, honestly.
Top Radiant player and Valorant streamer Danny also shared his insight with us about how he thinks players are going to have to play Astra specifically going forward.
I don't think Astra is dead. I think that the way you use her has to be different. So before you can control the entire map, you can put stars, take them back, and then do all that. But now you kind of have to use her more selfishly. So she's more of like a sentinel now, where you have to like anchor a site with her, because let's say you're trying to help your team get map control and you take back a star, that's like 45 seconds you have to wait. So to help a team, it's like more of a risk for Astra now, so you kind of have to use your util for yourself more than before.
And if that's not enough evidence for you about how much things have changed, literally as I was writing this video, NA's first playoff match was going on between Cloud9 and Knights, and Vanity instantly locked in that Omen even when the stakes were high. All right, so after hearing from some of the pro players and deep diving the last weeks of matches, I think it's pretty clear that the game has changed quite a bit with this patch. If you're someone who plays smokes and ranks, you've probably got some new agents to work on. That said, I personally think that these changes have actually made a pretty big impact on how Valorant games in general play out, not just the agents you pick. Without the full map coverage of Astra's stars, the game feels a little bit more puggy than it did before. Brimstone's Stim Beacon giving your whole team that speed boost is allowing teams to hit sites hard, even in ranked. And that's led to a lot more 1v1 gunfights and duels, which honestly, I think is pretty dope. The fact is, Valorant, when compared to its counterpart, Counter-Strike, is a pretty slow game. Regenerative abilities like Soba's Arrow and all of this info-grabbing utility can lead to a lot of stalking around the map and waiting until you find the perfect spot and then hitting a site. So now that Brim Daddy himself is speeding up your whole team so that you can hard rush into a site and take some fights, I think has made the game a little bit more fun. At least for now. I'll also note that on maps like Bind and Ascent, that can feel a little suffocating for the attacker side at times, having that extra speed boost can really help you burst out of those choke points. All this to say, I think the game has improved a lot since the nerfs to Astra and Viper. It's clear to me that Riot is down to take a heavy-handed approach to balance, which is probably a good thing given that we got more and more agents coming down the pipeline. The true test of this new meta, though, will be these next 2 weekends, where all of NA's best will be competing for just 2 slots at Masters. I'm personally rooting for the Guard to finish out their Cinderella run. I want to see guys like Trent and Saya Player compete on LAN internationally after all the highlights we've seen this year.
What the
I mean, I don't want to.
What?
This kid steps up, and the IGL to support. Cryo drops down, so does Aaron, but Aaron actually the one to fall. Death does him part, and now the shock darts. BCJ trying to play Legolas, and Trent stays alive. Now look at the HP. It's a 1v2 and it's doable. He spots out one wallbang. Where is it? It's a possibility, trying to line it up. Trent, he finds it, and now it's a 1 versus 1. Unaware of the position of the other, last known in close, a single bullet to reveal a wallbang! It is Trent!
That's my take, but who do you have winning those 2 slots from North America? Let me know in the comments below. The VCT Playoffs in a... What does this mean for your which my colleague over on Crack Which my boy over on Brimstone Stim Beacon giving